Hi, I'm Lisa Papp, and my husband and I are fortunate in our community, and I've supported all of your organizations in one way or another over the years, so thank you all for the good work you're doing. I was asked a couple of years ago to write for Northwest Citizen. I'm a marketing writer, not a journalist, but I was asked to write about homelessness. So I've been traveling the learning curve. And the thing that I've learned is that we need all these pieces, shelters and food bank, and we all have to work together. When you speak of the type of community we want to live in and I want to live in, we need more affordable housing here. I used to work for a developer in Seattle that did affordable housing and partnered with people like Catholic Community Services. So I would like to be in conversation with landowners and developers here to have more micro apartments and tiny home communities and shared housing and things that are less than $500,000. So I'm putting it out there, and anybody that has a response, I think perhaps all of you have probably heard that housing first really does work the best long term and is the least expensive for us as taxpayers. That's the kind of community I want to live in. One day I hope to never say the word homelessness again. Thank you.
Thank you for your support, Lisa.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I can take a stab at it. I think that Lisa's right. I think that the main issue, you can get into individuals and how each individual became homeless if you want, but the main root cause is economics. That jobs are not paying anymore, benefits are not really going up much, and rent is skyrocketing. So this is like 1 + 1 is 2. It all adds up, and so. But if you think about it logically, four walls and a roof is not very expensive. 4 walls and a roof with electricity and insulation, it's not that expensive. And so, and all of us have different solutions here. We do need bigger, apartment buildings where we have more units. We do need tiny homes. Now, we're kind of on the tiny home end of things with HomesNOW, and the advantage of we're the first tiny home community in Bellingham, Washington. So, basically. These units are very low cost, and the big thing that's good with them is that they can be put in places that are not suitable for traditional development. When you set up a normal development, a lot of times you have to have a solid foundation. You have to get the land, and it might be in a location where you have to put in parking and all that. But with tiny homes that can be moved, they're not on a permanent foundation. And the site where we're at right now is right next to the sewer treatment plant. There's no way that they'd be building permanent housing apartments right there. So we get to use vacant land that's not being used for anything for a spot. And there's lots of other spots. If you just drive around anywhere around town, you can see lots of empty lots that might sit vacant for years. And so we're ready to go. And we want to be part of the solution. And of course, we're not the only part. So.
I would add that we do need more housing, and we need more permanently affordable housing. And yes. So there's sort of this rub between what happens in communities and Bellingham is this perfect illustration of everybody wants to live here, and very few people can afford to live here. And so we all need to stand up and say, this is the type of community that we want to live in. We want a community where actually all types of people can afford to live here, and not just in some of the neighborhoods, but in every neighborhood.
Absolutely.
But that means all of us saying, yes, we want that. We recognize that there is a value when we build a community that is for everybody, right? And so we all need to use our voice differently to advocate for that room here in Whatcom County. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for that. We tend to have discussions where, we get pitted against each other, and people say, well, I don't want my neighborhood to change, right? This is going to impact me negatively. And so we need to look at the value add as a community when we recognize that diversity and create permanently affordable housing units. There becomes a problem when market rate is developers can't afford to build units that are then not going to rent at market rate. And so we have to create systems, public systems and public housing that can support that. Otherwise, we will lose all of the options here. We're pushing people out left and right. And so eventually, this won't be a community that has much economic diversity. And that's a loss to all of us.